I told you last week that the nickname Moscow Mitch is really sticking to Republican Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, and he absolutely hates it. He's been dubbed Moscow Mitch because he consistently stands in the way of every single proposal to try to stop future foreign election interference, including and primarily from Russia. People have been showing up at his public events and just chanting Moscow Mitch louder than his microphone will go. It's great. And this has now been more and more mainstreamed. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi has now referred to Mitch McConnell as Moscow Mitch. This was during an appearance in Springfield, Illinois, a day or two ago. Take a look at this.
So we've sent our legislation to the Senate. They sent our legislation to the Senate. Moscow Mitch says that he is the Grim Reaper. Imagine describing yourself as the Grim Reaper, that he's going to bury all this legislation. Well, we have news for him.
So don't be confused. I'm not telling you this to praise Nancy Pelosi as anything other than a centrist Democrat, but this is notable because this is a story that's building with more and more people being aware of it, more and more disturbing revelations about Mitch McConnell's foreign relationships. The Washington Post has reported about Mitch McConnell's Russia ties. Even Republicans are increasingly calling Mitch McConnell's efforts to block these bills to stop election interference anti-American. And of course, the Republican concern trolls are now out in full force. How lacking in decorum and politeness. Nancy Pelosi, oh my, calling a fellow congressional leader. She's Speaker of the House. He's a majority leader in the Senate, using nicknames. How terrible. Wait a second. Donald Trump's entire presidential campaign and administration is based on nicknames. That doesn't matter. They don't care about that. It's different when Trump does it or something. They just love to pick up any old narrative that's convenient at the time. Nancy Pelosi uses a nickname. Oh, she's bad. Mass shooting, video games cause violence. Moscow Mitch, nicknames are bad. Caging kids, Obama did it back a few years ago. She's stooping so low and disgracing the office of the speaker. Wait a second. Trump has disgraced the office of the presidency 100 times over. Nancy Pelosi saying Moscow Mitch is not the problem here. And I know some people in my audience might not like this. I commend Nancy Pelosi in one particular sense. Branding and messaging in politics are super important. They are effective ways to actually win. Crooked Hillary, Lion Ted, Sleepy Joe Biden. These things actually work. It wouldn't hurt Democrats to understand that this is the reality and to try to use it to our advantage. I'm not saying we use violence. I'm not saying we don't have to be right on policy. We do still have to be right on policy. We've got to have the right ideas. We still have to run good campaigns. We completely fail at the local level in many ways over the last 20 years, as I've talked about, as the left has done. But it would be okay for Democrats to use some of these more innocuous but effective strategies against Republicans, give them a taste of their own medicine. I've interviewed George Lakoff, who talks so much about framing and branding, and he has explained the left is at a structural disadvantage. The right has branded many of their ideas so simply that the left can't counter them as simply. I've given this example. There is a position on the right. Abortion is murder, therefore it should be illegal. The left doesn't take the opposite position, which is abortion is lovely and you should be able to kill anyone you want, even up until they're 12 years old, or whatever some cartoonish opposition would be, which really exposes how extreme the right-wing position is on abortion. The left says, okay, it'd be better to avoid the need for abortions, and we know how to do that, which is free access to contraceptives combined with comprehensive same-sex sex education, not same-sex education, sex education. We know that that reduces the need for abortions. But even when they are necessary, it's important that they be safe and accessible and affordable, because we know that one of the worst things that can happen is women choosing to get so-called back alley abortions. We've already sort of lost the thread because the right has abortion is murder and it should be illegal. So we could really benefit from just understanding branding. And I know I'm sort of off the rails from Nancy Pelosi calling Mitch McConnell Moscow Mitch, but I am not going to fault Nancy Pelosi for, if it's what she's doing, understanding the effect of branding and nicknames And this isn't really stooping below where we're comfortable stooping. I don't want to do a lot of the stuff that the right does, but just understanding branding and framing, I think, is something that I've been desperately begging the left to understand. Maybe Moscow Mitch is a small part of that. We've got a great show for you today. We will then have a bonus show for our members after the show. Next week, the show will be sort of on vacation. We won't be here, but we're not going dark and we're not having guest hosts. We're actually going to debut 5 deep dive episodes, full show deep dives that we've been working on for a couple of months. They will be on a variety of different topics, and that is the plan for next week. So we will be on summer vacation, but there will be new stuff, a lot of which I think you will like. But before any of that, we've still got a great program for you today. I am thrilled to tell you that today's episode is sponsored in part by Blinkist.com/Pacman. Blinkist is a really unique service for your phone, tablet, and web browser, and it is incredibly useful for people like me who love books and learning but are busy. Blinkist takes the best and most popular nonfiction books and condenses them into 15-minute audiobooks. I'm sure that if you're like me, you have a very long list of books that you've been meaning to read. You only have so many hours in the day, and that's why Blinkist is so amazing. They take the most important information, the themes, the insights from each book, and they distill it into a 15-minute audiobook that you can listen to in one sitting. I've listened to a ton of books on Blinkist. Our audience can get a 7-day free trial by going to Blinkist.com/Pacman. If you're watching on YouTube, I put a link in the description. I have listened to Blinkist books about economics, about political science, about history, about science, so many interesting things. And after the free trial, if you like it, you can continue enjoying thousands of condensed audiobooks for about $5 a month. Go to Blinkist.com/Pacman. That's BLINKIST.com/PAKMAN.